Hi everybody, Bonnie here. If you've tuned in, please let me know by messaging me or putting a comment. This is all new to me, so I'm going to do the best I can and to keep up or say what needs to be said or just say something helpful. So, um, for those of you who don't know, or actually, I was talking to my publisher about my book and where my book stands and everything that's going on. And she reminded me about how when my son was in the hospital, how we had our time of seclusion and how what I learned in that time may be helpful to everybody who's dealing with this social distancing thing that's going on. And so I thought I would share some of the things I learned today, and then I also had another good idea that I'll talk to you guys about at the end. But so in May of 2014, for those of you who don't know, my son was. Oh, hi guys! I see somebody coming on. That's awesome. Thank you so much for waving. That makes me feel better. But for those of you who don't know, in May of 2014, my son, I took him to the hospital, and because he had a lot of bruising, and that day he had told me that he wasn't feeling very well and was having a hard time breathing and his chest hurt. And when we were at the doctor's office, I see so many people turning on. This is awesome. I'm glad you're here. But at the hospital in the emergency room, the doctors told me that all of his blood counts were low, which meant that he was going to be in need of a bone marrow transplant. His bone marrow wasn't functioning and he needed a bone marrow transplant. So I remember, hi guys, you guys are all signing on, that's awesome, thank you. But I remember as the doctor was telling me that my son's gonna need this bone marrow transplant, his words kind of turned into Charlie Brown's teacher, as like his words just went to wah 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 wah. Hi John. And in my heart, I just felt this peace that if I trusted the process and I trusted God, that everything was going to be okay. And but it was going to be a process. Even though I trusted and I had this peace that came over me, I still knew it was going to be a process. And who went to Sunday school when they were a kid and learned that whole peace that passes understanding down in my heart song? That was what I felt, which was the first time in my life that I had ever felt that. So it was awesome, but I still had to understand that it was going to be a process to get through. When I first found out he was sick and that I didn't know why, and I didn't know um, why my son needed a bone marrow transplant. They said it could be leukemia or it could be aplastic anemia. They didn't know which one it was. Um, but I made a decision. I remember making a conscious decision that I was going to focus on gratitude. I was going to focus on everything that I was grateful for as opposed to everything that I might be losing. Like that was my number one in this time. I feel like that's the number one best thing to do, that we focus on all there is to be grateful for, and all that we have, and all the things. We're so blessed and we're so fortunate. I mean, this isn't a hurricane. We still have electricity, we still have water, we still have our air conditionings, we have our food. Like I feel as if like that, just we have so many things to be grateful for, and that should be our first focus, right? um, and then as this time went on and I start to really understand that my son may die in this process, I decided that it was really important that I not feed my fear, right? That you have a choice, that you can feed your fear or feed your faith. And I made a conscious decision that I was not going to go to Google for all my information. That I was going to let the doctors tell me what I needed to know, and then that was going to be it. After that, I was going to do everything I could to feed my faith and to make sure that I was in a really good place with my faith. Whatever you feed, that's what's going to grow. So if you feed your fear in all of this, then that's what's going to grow is your fear. But if you choose to feed your faith, then that's what's going to grow. So I made a conscious decision that I wasn't going to go to Google. So I strongly urge all of you to please stay off the news as much as possible. I think maybe half an hour in the morning and a half an hour at the night, just to get yourself updated on what's happening, so you know where everything stands. But you don't need to keep it on a loop all the time, because all that's just going to do is just feed your faith. I quickly learned when the doctor told me that what was going on with my son, I often describe it as somebody grabbing me by the scruff of my neck, ripping me out of my world, and dropping me into a tsunami and spoon feeding me an elephant, right? Life changed. I learned that control was completely an illusion, and life happens to all of us. None of us are so special that we get to avoid all of the crazy circumstances life has to offer. So all we can control is our response to it. And so your first thing is to decide that you're going to focus on what you need to be grateful for, right? And then your next thing is to not feed your fear. Hi, Judy. So glad that you're here. That's awesome. But the next thing is to not feed your fear. Feed your faith, right? You want to have knowledge. You want to have wisdom. But you also need to make sure that you're not just obsessing over what may or may not happen, because none of us know what's going to happen next. And then my last thing was to accept that the only thing that I could control was my response to the situation. I could not control anybody else's response to the situation. Hi, Carla. I love you. I couldn't control anybody else's response. I can only control my response, right? So I had to make we all have to make the best decisions that we can possibly make for ourselves and our families. And then after that, we can't control other people in their response. We might not agree with their responses. All we can do is, hi Allison, is to just control our response, and respond in a way that we think is best for ourselves and our family. I hope that helps a little bit. Those are 3 things. But one of the things that got me through, so for 6 months, I was pretty much in seclusion with my son. He had a whole year of seclusion because of the bone marrow transplant. When somebody goes through a bone marrow transplant, they have to be in as much isolation as possible, right? And they can't eat certain foods, and it's just total crazy process. But when all of that started, I was doing 100 Days of Happiness. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but we had on Facebook, there was a hashtag 100 Days of Happiness. Well, I've decided what would be really good for us, because that helped me through the process, for every day finding something positive to talk about. So I thought would be really cool is if we started hashtag 100 Days of Good News. So I want to challenge each and every one of you every day, find something that is good and positive that happened in your day, and do a hashtag 100 Days of Good News with me. I'm going to start that today as soon as I get done with this broadcast. And and then I've decided that every week I'm going to come on and talk to you guys. So next Monday I'll come back. I'm going to change it to Monday. I decided Monday was a better day. So Monday at 7 o'clock, I'll be back here again. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask about how I handled or things that I went through when we were in our isolation, when we went through what we went through with my son, we were in isolation for almost a year. And hi, Debbie, thank you. We were in isolation for almost a year. It started May 31st, and he wasn't released back to life as a normal child until the beginning of May. So for a whole year, we had to make adjustments to our life to deal with having a child that had to be in complete seclusion. So I get it. Like it's a little scary at first, and at first it takes a lot of adjusting, and it can be. Hi, David, my little brother, my baby brother. I love you too. Um, but it's a lot of adjusting. One of the scriptures that keeps coming to me in all of this is there's a season for everything under the sun, for everything on the earth. There's a season for it all. Like I said, life happens to all of us. None of us are so special that we will avoid the hardships of life. Hi, Mike. Hi, Emily. Um, it's all about how we respond to those hardships and how we handle that. So I want to encourage all of you. So first, be grateful. Every day, focus on your gratitude. Count the things that you have to be grateful for. And then don't feed your fear, feed your faith. Take time every day. Do a certain amount of time that you're going to watch the news so that you are apprised of everything that's going on. That's important. Like when my son was in the hospital, every morning at 10 o'clock every morning, they did their rounds. They told us what was going on, and that was it. That was all we talked about it. Then we focused on feeding our faith and doing good, positive things. And then I want you to just understand that you cannot control anyone else other than yourself. I used to say, I don't have to trust anybody else. I only have to trust God. That was kind of what got me through everything. I trusted that He would put the people in my path that I needed. And I couldn't work for 6 months. And it was amazing how God just provided everything I needed at every turn. There were times when things showed up, as silly as it was. I was in the hospital and I wanted a Nerf gun so that we could have Nerf gun wars. And next thing I knew, a friend of mine from work was bringing us Nerf guns. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Laura. Was bringing us Nerf guns. And I didn't even say anything. They just showed up. So it's amazing how God He knows what you need before you need it. And He will provide. And what we have to do is just trust the process. Respect and trust the process. But so today, starting today, since we don't know how long this all madness is going to go on, I figured 100 days was a good round number, and we can keep doing it even if everything dies down before that. But I really, really want everyone to do hashtag 100 days of good news, and find something in your day that you can tell everybody else about that was good today, instead of focusing on all of the negatives, and trust the process. I promise you that. Hi, John. Thank you. You're awesome. I love you too. But I promise you that nobody's up there going, like all these officials are not trying to see how much they can complicate your life. That's not their goal. They're trying to make decisions for, however many people here in this nation. They're making decisions for a lot of people, to the best of their ability, with a enemy that they can't see and an enemy that they don't know what's going to happen next. And so all we can do is trust the process. I don't feel like a lot of us have a whole lot of answers. Exactly. Yes, Emily. That's really good. Very good. Well, and Emily said it's all part of His perfect plan. He's in control. Let Him be in control. He is in control. He says He will use all things for good. He doesn't say all things are good, but He does say He will use all things for good. I remember a friend of mine, when I first found out my son was in the hospital, she called me and she's like, Bonnie, God just keeps throwing things at you left and right. And I said, God didn't throw this at me. God didn't throw this at me, but He is helping me to get through it, and I knew that, and I believe that, and I still believe that He's, I don't think He gives us the bad times, but He sees the bad times coming, and He prepares us for them, and He helps us get through them. So thank you so much for coming and being a part of this. And like I said, next Monday, 7 o'clock, I'm going to try to do this every Monday night, 7 o'clock, God willing, and as long as nothing else comes up that's totally crazy. or my schedule doesn't change again. My schedule changed at work, so that's always possible. As we know, being a first responder, everything's kind of fluid and changing. So if something changes, I'll let you know. But I challenge all of you. Hashtag 100 days of good news. We're going to have good news every day. My good news today was that I walked 6 miles today. Right? It was a little over 6 miles, and I'm just getting more proactive into getting into shape. I'm using this time to just be more proactive about getting into shape. So all of us, and also too, somebody made a big suggestion today. This virus may not have touched you yet. Like, you might not totally, hi, Honorio, may not totally, like, see why we're doing the social distancing or why we're doing the isolation, because you haven't seen anybody sick, so you don't see what the point is. So I want you to think of one person in your life that you could do this for. Like, I know if my mother were to get sick with this, that it would definitely, she wouldn't survive. She's elderly, and she's had asthma her whole life, so I know that this would be really hard on her, and I'm not sure that she would survive this illness. So she asked me to not come see her until this all passes, and I understand that, and I get that. So she is one of the reasons why I'm being respectful of the suggestions that are being made, you know. And then also it helps everybody else do their job if we all just be respectful of the process and just trust that God is in control. God does see what's happening, and he does have a plan, even though sometimes we definitely don't always understand it. But all we can do is trust, right? So we don't have to trust anybody else. We only have to trust God. So back to our 3 things. We're going to be grateful. We're going to count your blessings every day. Hi, Moonbeam. And you're going to focus on, what did I say? Accept that you don't have control over anything else other than you. And you're going to trust the process, right? Those were the things. I already forgot the 3 things that I mentioned. That's funny. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'm going, and I could talk all night, but I figure you guys aren't going to want to listen to me for too long. Thank you for everything, and thank you for your support. And hi, Justin. And I will see you guys next Monday. And I will be checking to see if you guys are doing your 100 days of good news. So I look forward to seeing everybody's good news on Facebook. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.